Hello, and welcome to my baking tutorial. Today we're going to be making some tasty treats and learning a lot. So settle in, grab a pen and paper, your ingredients, or just check out the description below. That's where I'll post the recipe. So let's start with our dry ingredients. Society. Dominant white power structures. Being a person of color. Stereotypes. And don't forget, you have to silence voices. Now on to our wet ingredients. Sexualization. Historical events. Lack of inclusive and safe spaces. Let's start mixing it all together. First, we start with society. This is the base for all inequality. Having a racialized body requires living in a society that allows and encourages the racialization of your body. Now we're mixing in some dominant white power structures. The normative, socially visible body is a white body. White bodies get individual autonomy and are not racialized. This allows for people with white bodies to navigate society without the roadblocks of a racialized body. Now for the obvious. Being a person of color means you have a racialized body. The Jezebel, the terrorist, the Chola, the welfare queen. Dominant white power structures actively silence the voices of people of color. So when people of color speak out against the stereotypes of their racialized bodies, they aren't recognized. Time for wet ingredients. Women of color are often sexualized and exoticized because of their skin color, their false stereotypes of hypersexuality, and the need to be controlled, which is always for the benefit of white men. In a place dominated by white power structures put in place to deny any equality ranging from socioeconomic status to sexual orientation to religion, it is no surprise that people of color have little to no safe spaces for community and end up forging their own. Just think about 9/11. After 9/11, white Americans had a deep-seated fear of the Middle Eastern terrorist. Every brown person who identified as Muslim and/or wore a headscarf was now a terrorist. As you may have noticed, I don't have a power mixer. So, just like feminism, where you want to understand the oppressive power structures at their deepest levels, I had to get my hands a little dirty and mix it up myself. Time to mix in our final ingredient. here's your new knowledge and understanding of racialized bodies. Preheat your oven. Prepare your cookies. Set your timer. And reflect on what you've learned about racialized bodies. So I hope y'all enjoyed my little baking tutorial. I'm definitely not the best cook, but that recipe is delicious if you can bake. Now that the baking fun is done, while I have you here, I want to talk about a specific real-life implication of racialized bodies. A common and well-known image of a racialized body is the welfare queen. In her book Reproducing Race, Khiara describes the typical image of the welfare queen. An urban black teenage mother who continually has children to increase her benefits and who just lies around all day in public housing waiting for her check to come. Already, the language surrounding a young black woman's body is laced with distaste and distrust. The construction of the welfare queen is poorly designed and unfairly applied to the lives of black women. Welfare queens are supposedly uneducated, and yet informed enough to make lucrative their reproduction capabilities. Lack of education of black women stems from the stereotype that all black people are uneducated. The idea of uneducated black people, and the invention of the welfare queen, comes from the reality that out of all racial groups, black people have the highest rate in poverty. At a rate of 27.4% compared to the rate of Hispanics at 26.6% and whites of 9.9%. An even more troubling statistic of 45.8% of black children compared to the 14.5% of white children. It should be understood that poverty is often linked to low-budget education, which translates to educators not caring about their impoverished black students. Combine this with states like Arizona insisting on abstinence-only sex education. And we have the workings for the welfare queen racialized body. What is most interesting about the welfare queen, as Bridges states, is that it's not explicit about its implications on race. Bridges describes the word welfare as a failed euphemism for race. Furthermore, to understand the racialization of the welfare queen, we must understand the shift between deserving poor to undeserving poor of single mothers. Originally, single mothers were thought to be deserving of government subsidies. This was because, most of the time, the single mother was widowed. However, with the increased racialized tension in the 1960s, paired with an increase of husbands and fathers leaving their wives and children, the racialized image of the welfare queen was created. And young, single black women were categorized as undeserving poor. With all this combined, we have the racialized body of welfare queen and the injustice to young black women. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. All the information from Bridges' book is cited in this video and linked down below. Bye, y'all!